doing a countdown. I think I counted down. It's I'm watching YouTube to make sure it's working.
I'm watching YouTube
I'm
also.
thinking, ooh, I see all three things in YouTube, so
Oh God.
that must be. I'm gonna.
I'm gonna mute YouTube.
I don't know. Yeah, good plan. Good plan.
Every now and then I have good ideas.
Now, how are you doing tonight, Brian?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing, Pat?
I am doing just fine. I should make sure my phone is muted.
I did that
I
already.
mean, my phone, it's constant. It,
Uh-oh, that's overexposed. You can't see it.
my phone doesn't even vibrate. It's set to never tell me anything. I brought this here in case I have an idea.
Okay.
No,
Is it gonna turn on? That'd be
no,
awesome.
no. I'm not that prepared.
You don't have it wired up to your home
I don't know if
automation?
anybody can see it, but I've got my little bat signal back here. I'm gonna leave that on
I'm
until it runs out of battery.
I'm watching the stream waiting for it to show up.
Will we see it in the stream? Is it back there?
I s-
I'm turning it
yeah,
on.
it
Oh
just
yeah,
turned
look,
on.
it's
Look
back
at it.
there. All right,
That's
that's
exciting.
working.
That's
fun.
good.
I enjoyed that. That's just for fun for me.
That is fun. You need to get some of that like museum style lighting that goes under it and
Straight
projects
up.
up at the wall. Yeah.
Might have to do something there.
That's my best Christmas gift idea for you all year, and I'm not going to
Ooh,
remember it
it's
unless you
almost
remind
Christmas.
unless you remind me when we edit the video.
Did you notice it's cool this week?
It has been no, not really because I
Night.
haven't been out.
The highs were
I
like 90 most of the
I
week.
saw that it was rainy, and I figured it was not as warm. Thankfully.
I've got no rain. It's all suns and a few little clouds. 90. I
This-
remember the first year I moved back to Dallas was the year where we had 40 some odd days through July that were
You
over
picked
100 degrees every day.
you, you picked a bad year to move back to
I did.
Texas.
What's August now?
We've barely had any. Others have
Sending it
had
all to Canada. I know
Canada
I'm
and
quiet, Chris. I have my mic
Pacific
volume
Northwest.
turned down a bit so I sound better in post. I hope. We're gonna find out. Can you hear me at all?
Turn,
Just
turn your volume all the way up to 11.
if I only seem quiet, that'll be okay. I've been recording like this for days and in my video editor to make sure it'll sound okay.
Okay.
If we have to re-record this, I'm sorry, Brian.
That'll
We
be
have 4 episodes to record tonight. That's for any what we're doing. We are recording episodes of the Butter What Show for the Butter What YouTube channel, and we've got mostly the first segments is about some 3D printing stuff. Then we've got
Yep.
I've got it labeled CNC, but it's not really CNC. That's good, Chris. That means I'm doing a good job. We've got some gaming stuff in the third episode, and networky, servery stuff. Well, server stuff. Well, I guess Tailscale is. I'm excited about Tailscale's new pricing structure.
me too. I don't want to spill the beans, but they made me become a customer. They didn't make me.
I was planning on it anyway.
I was planning on it too, and I use that as my excuse to finally start paying them. And I'll say that more later. But
Before we start the episode here, did you watch the video about the? You did the automated printer.
yeah, you sent it to me while I was eating dinner. So as well as I could, eat dinner and pretend to be a good parent and do other things. So I
figured
skipped.
we'd lead off with that
Okay.
because it's the meatiest thing in here out of these things, and then
These 4 topics. Yeah.
yeah.
I have to give a shout out to my sister for saving my camera on vacation. We had
Shout out.
big shout out to Amy.
Your coffee.
We were 2 hours away from Portland and we had an 8 a.m. flight. So we had to leave where we were staying at like 4 in the morning. And in our rush to pack the night before, I wound up leaving this camera, I'm pointing at it, in the rental car that we had. And
I
they,
would show you how tiny it is, because mine is a similar shell, but I'm using mine.
yeah,
Also,
it's
very
about,
easily to find. It's a fat
it's
phone.
it's about this big.
Yeah.
So Amy saved the podcast or live stream.
Amy, you did a good job.
Send me that, and I'll send it. I'll send it to her because she demanded a shout out in the live stream, and she deserved one.
Before we get going, I'm going to skip to the part of where it's doing its job. I should have done that while you were.
Giving shout outs. We should give a shout out to Alex too. All of our
Upgrades?
lighting upgrades. Don't we look more amazing than we usually do, audience? Way more amazing.
Hey, why is that not? There it goes. It said I don't want to go full screen here. All right, you ready to go, Tubby?
Let's do it.
What's today? August.
3rd.
Why didn't I
I've-
pause this though?
It's Tuesday. You know, I know it's Tuesday.
No.
We're doing a
It's
live
always
stream.
Tuesday when we do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is your host, co-host. I'm one of the hosts, Pat Regan, and this is my co-host over here, BrianCMoses.com from the internet.
Assistant to the co-host.
Can I be the assistant to the co-host?
No, that's me.
Well, that'll be okay. And it's in front of a live YouTube audience on August 3rd, 2021. And we're going to talk about some 3D printing stuff. And the first thing we have here is Tom Sandlatterer's Voron upgrade that he did. I'm going to just start playing this in the background here while we jibber jabber. But yeah, there are 3D printers that have a conveyor belt that, you know, they'll print on the conveyor belt, and they'll print these infinitely long things. They're weird, at weird angles. Slicing for them is weird. Printing on them is weird, and they're just weird.
It's like
Now,
a
the
conveyor.
trouble
It's
Tom
like
has with this Voron is that it prints so fast. He says, you know, you fill the bed up with small parts, and you have to come back every hour or two to clear them off and start the next job because it's so darn fast. So he wanted a way to swap new print bed surfaces onto his printer, conveyor belt style. And he's got a prototype here, and it's pretty cool. What do you think, Brian?
I think it's really interesting. I don't necessarily. I mean, for my 3D printing, it's solving a problem that I don't have. Like, I print slow. It takes a long time, and I'm not interested in printing any faster. I start a print and I wait for it to finish, and when it does, and that's just how long it takes. But you know, for people that are, I guess, doing, you know, rapid prototyping or maybe even making things for Etsy or, you know, some of their own shops, you know, they're going to want to
manufacturing.
They want to churn parts out, and they want it to be automated. And this is solving one of the bigger problems with 3D printing, you know, in an automated way.
It's pretty cool. It's bulky. I mean, I don't want to hate on it for how bulky it is. It's got some height to it, and a big complicated It's not that complicated, but it's got a big mechanism to. You know, you have to push pretty hard to separate a piece of steel from the magnets.
Yep.
And then, but you know, when I saw this, the first thing I thought of was like the solenoid on the starter in your car. It's 12 volts. It would have it that pushes the starter motor in the gear into the flywheel, whatever.
Yep.
And you know, 4 of those around a print bed would probably, maybe they wouldn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they wouldn't be able to push up. But something like that would probably cut this down to, you know, inches instead of.
Yeah. What is that?
Feet. But centimeters instead of. I'm just pausing. I'm going to go back
inches.
to watch more video here, so it's running while we're talking. But yeah, we do usually do show one of these speedboat races, and we didn't do that today. But with the default Prusa settings, my MK3S says it will take something like 2 hours to print a 3D Benchy. And in the
I believe
speedboat
that.
races, we've seen them as low as 5 minutes. This is fast. Okay, doing its thing. It knocks up. And don't worry that they're smaller beds. Usually the Voron is like a 300 millimeter square bed.
Yep.
And these are the mini Voron beds. But he ordered a bunch of these and didn't have. That's what he had. So that's what he's prototyping with.
Yeah, it didn't. The reduction in the size of the bed didn't have anything to do with his mechanism, did it?
No, it would
Yeah.
work just as well. I mean, it needs some tweaks, some width, you know. But yeah,
It's really neat.
I like it.
It's fascinating that he built and designed that himself.
It really is. He's done a fantastic job at the version 2.0. And we'll have links to Tom's channel. I'm sure if you're 3D printing, you've already seen it because he has about 8 million subscribers and he reviews every 3D printer you've ever might have seen. He's a good resource, so you should definitely check him out. I did find this on Reddit, Brian, a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was awesome. And we had
This is funny.
today because I called it Benchimus Prime.
Yeah, I think you called it Benchimus Prime or Optimus Bench. I don't know.
But apparently it's called Benchus Maximus. It's you can download this from Cults 3D. That's definitely put the
Be very careful about that URL.
3D printing site if you
Well,
leave that off.
We'll put a link in the video description. Just click that link. Don't even try typing it in. The correct link. Yeah,
Don't
we
type it.
won't rickroll you. Probably.
But this is a bunch of connectors to connect your Benchy boats, your benchmark prints, together into a really cool
A-
rope.
A really cool looking robot. It's fascinating.
Think of a 3D print. It's probably as much time as 2, maybe 3 Benchies.
I think
Both of them is boats.
yeah, is benchies. I'm trying to think if I know I haven't printed that many benchies. I mean, I think of the people that I know that have printed that have 3D printers, I don't think all of us combined have printed this many benchies. But if benchies are your thing for fine tuning your 3D printer, I think this is a must. I mean, you got to print this and store it near your 3D printer somewhere.
When I started 3D printing, everybody printed for calibration and testing those little pyramids. It's a quarter of a pyramid with
Okay.
steps on it and a couple overhangs.
Yep.
And we used to print these little guys. These Marvin keychains were popular.
Yep.
And then by the time the Benchy came out, I was never printing, test parts. I just printed what I needed and hoped it came out okay. And if it didn't, I'd fix it for the next round. But started 3D printing about a year or 2 after I did. They have, for sure.
It's a really neat model. It's
Oh,
an
geez,
interesting.
It's $1.38.
It's $1.38.
I did not know that. This is from. We should say who this is from because I'll put a little thing in the bottom here. This is from Mega Willbot.
Nice job, Mega Wilbot. You did good work.
Job, Mega Willbot. I'm clicking on him, but it's not loading. To here. Is this his? No, it says. Oh, here it comes. Oh, geez, he's got a butt for your sound wave toy. That's not the original Soundwave toy. That must be a fancy one.
God, now I'm hearing everything in Soundwave voice. We need that in Riverside, a little thing to apply a voice
They have
modifier.
sounds. We need some transform. Oh, look, he's got the S from elementary school in 3 dimensions. It's a soldier from TF2. Holy crap! I like this guy.
He's definitely good people.
I'm gonna tell everybody he's my new friend. I don't know if he is, but I hope he's friendly.
I hope we drive lots of traffic to his models on Colt
I hope so too. I
3D.
hope we make $1.38, if not whatever 3 times $1.38 is.
At least.
I saw this, Tubby. I don't know that there's an STL file anywhere. Oh no, there's a customizer and everything for this.
Well, that's even better.
Do it here. Well, let's open it too. When you take apart an engine, you have to put all the valves and springs back in the same cylinder you took them out of. The same, not just.
Okay.
I mean, the exact same.
The exact same. You couldn't accidentally put piston.
Oh, you could, but you should.
Yes,
They've
it's
all
bad
formed
news.
differently, and they fit where they fit. And you can buy little trays like this, and the title of this post says they're usually about $70, or at least at his auto parts store.
Wow.
And I thought that was a pretty good. It's because not many people buy them. You make an injection mold for a
Yeah.
tray like this, and you've got to do something for it to be a good value. But you can customize this any which way you want. And it is from Simplify and Add Coffee. I like him too.
Anytime you incorporate coffee into something, it's a little bit better.
He will also be my new friend. Oh, that's his only design. Eric Ziegler.
It's
Well,
a good
thank you,
one.
Eric. We're going to have
Yeah.
a link to the description. I've not hit the like button on that yet. I'm less prepared to talk about this next one, Tubby, than I thought I was. This is
Yeah, I've seen this and I've read about it, and
I'm not sure if I've seen this and other similar things now.
I wouldn't be surprised. Do we want to introduce it? It's the Pi Compute module for a 3D printer controller.
Yeah, instead of having an STM32 or an Atmega from an Arduino, they have a slot for the little DIMMs. Isn't it? No, the compute module is not on a DIMM, but the Raspberry Pi compute module is it's a Raspberry Pi with a bunch of components removed.
Yep.
Standardized interface. Now, what some people are doing these days, especially on those fast printers like those Vorons, you need to control your acceleration better, and there's a piece of software called Clipper with a K that runs on the Raspberry Pi. Well, and it has its own firmware that goes on the printer controller too, that you just like on your Prusa here.
Yep.
And instead of sending G-code to the printer, it sends actual movement commands. I think it's some sort of efficient binary, so you can control the print head.
Okay.
Basically. And like one of our friends in Discord, you remember how he's been adding accelerometers to his 3D printer?
Yep.
Clipper uses the accelerometer data to know how the printer's matching the movements that it's being told to make.
Okay.
So you can better tune in you get closer to the of your printer, which is pretty cool. But I figure as more printers start to turn into because everybody seems to be buying these Vorons, all the cool kids. This seems to make total sense. Instead of using a board that you plug a Raspberry Pi into over, USB, why not use one where it just plops right onto?
I mean, I wouldn't want to do the work, but I'd like to see a Raspberry Pi replace that on my printer, because then we could just run like Octoprint right on it instead of having a separate. Yeah, I bet so too. I don't think it's this article, but I recall seeing an article like that where a manufacturer was talking about building a printer and just putting an Octoprint interface right on the 3D printer's hardware.
That would be fantastic.
It would be.
But these aren't cheap. I don't know the price of this particular one. This might be a do-it-yourself one, for all I know. I should have looked this up. Yeah, and he's talking about it too. He wants Klipper and Octoprint and webcam all on one
Yep.
board.
I want more horsepower to process my ridiculous time lapse photography.
But there will be links to this in the. Oh yeah, this is definitely the one I've seen because it's up on Kickstarter.
Okay.
Is it still active? Go check this out because it's still active. And they've not. Oh, this is a bummer. They haven't. They're at $6,600 out of almost a $60,000 goal.
Uh-oh. That's how many days are left?
I'm too stupid to know where it says that. Oh no, unsuccessful.
Oh,
It's not just.
well, that means they get to try again, right? What's
Yeah.
the...
We'll have to look into that for next month's live stream.
Yeah.
Find out how this worked out. I got something in my eye.
Uh-oh. It's called an eyeball, Pat.
An eyeball.
Pupils.
Did we do okay there?
I think we did okay.
Track of the time.
It's 9:22.
All right, that's not too bad.
So
20 minutes
we
to record the first
yeah.
episode. All right, I'm gonna clobber all these.
Are we going fast enough? Is our audience engaged?
We don't know.
Yulia said you're quiet too.
It's true. I wish I could turn it up for the live stream and
Yeah, like a
boost.
a multiplier before a boost.
A tool change? I'm bummed out that there's not more information about that tool changer. It's very do-it-yourself. I'll juggle these around here. I lost my mouse point. There it is.
Look at that guy talking.
That'll be a good place to start the video here. All right.
Where he slides the work table down.
Slides it down. Why isn't that pausing? There we go. And I've got the CNC'd. It's just a frame. It's simple. I like it. The tool changer and Alex's fantastic tutorial here. There he is. It's like he's with us. You think these fit together all right?
I think they do. Do I need to turn my mic down? People are saying that we're discordant.
We are. You're louder than I am.
That's not typical. I'm not going to mess with it because I'll just turn it up louder and make it worse.
Don't mess it up.
I could try and talk quieter. Would that be weird?
All right, you ready, Tubby?
I think I'm ready. Let's start a new
This one should
episode.
be a quick one, I think. Oh, I don't have to hit anything. I just have to talk, right? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Butter What Show. I'm your co-host. I am Brian's co-host, Pat Regan, And this is my co-host, assistant to the regional co-host, BrianCMoses.com.
Hi,
Doing
everybody.
today, Brian?
I'm doing pretty good. Should I get my name legally changed to that?
Yes.
Would Dot be my middle name?
Yes.
I wonder how Yulia and Gunnar would feel about being Yulia Com and Gunnar Com.
Well, it's even more complicated. They have to change their name. But we're recording this on August 3rd, 2021, in front of a live audience on YouTube here. And we're going to record. We're going to look at a couple of things on YouTube and the internet here. It's mostly woodworking projects, I guess. And about half of it is CNC stuff, 3/4 of it.
Yeah.
But the first one, I've been watching this gentleman, Brian, this Workshop Junkies for quite a few months now. He's got some interesting. He works in a tiny garage. It looks like a storage unit. And
Okay.
he tries to cram as many power tools and, he's got this neat. It's not in this video, of course, but he's got this neat table in the middle where he hides a little table saw, a chop saw, and some other tools that all fold in and out. It's really neat.
Interesting.
But today we're looking at, he's got this shelf cabinet thing that turns into a workbench. I think it's fascinating. I'm gonna hit play while we talk about it here. And I guess he did a build video earlier. Today's video is he's adding these gas struts to make it more, not move as fast and not hit you in the face.
Less precarious.
Much less precarious. And it's like you can see here, it's a cabinet where you can store stuff in it.
Yep.
There's no hardware on the doors, so you can, if you use it as a work surface,
It's nice and
you
smooth.
have little handles in the way or anything.
Yep.
I think it's fantastic. It's from Woodshop Junkies on YouTube. You should check it out for sure. I would like one of these in my garage.
Yeah, check it out. Let's put a couple of your favorite videos of his in the video description.
I could do that. I could definitely do that. And I don't want one of. I changed my mind. I don't want one of these in my garage. Just make all the walls, just the whole thing, 10 of them.
It'd be a big work table.
This next little project, and is there a name on it? Where they put a name before we start talking about it? I'm gonna look for a name. Does Imager really not put names on posts anymore? Is this?
You are my go-to expert on Imager.
Well, I can't find a name, but if I figure out who it is, I will put a link in the description. Maybe
You got it from Reddit, right? I've got the Reddit.
Yeah.
I've got the Reddit thread. He's
Say,
new cabbages.
sounds delicious.
I'm not a huge cabbage fan, but I do like beer, so
You do.
I think this is fantastic.
This is. I would have thought this was like one of those wine refrigerators that I
Yeah.
always see on TV. But he made a wood frame to go around it, and he did it on a CNC machine like mine. He has a Shapeoko. I
Okay.
don't know exactly which version. But he did these neat, this joinery that looks kind of like puzzle pieces.
Yeah, it's real interesting looking.
And I would love to parameterize this. I think that's really cool. Here's his first attempt. It's a little loose. You have to, anytime you CNC stuff, you have to tweak your tolerances a bit to get things to fit just like you want them to fit. Yeah, it looks like he has a Shapeoko 4 XL. Is it an XL or am I just not seeing it well? And that's probably an XL. And I'm surprised. If I did this, I would have tried to just cut the ends of 2 boards to match this. But he's machining the entire panel out of larger boards.
Okay.
I think that's interesting. There was an error while voting. I did not try to vote.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. But it's a pretty simple project. But it's really cool. I would have never thought to do joinery like this.
Yeah.
I might make up an OpenSCAD.
You could make a frame for that awesome Butterwet logo over your shoulder.
Ooh, the one that's lit up over here?
With the fancy lighting. We could put the museum style lighting beneath it.
little bit covered?
I think he did. It got a little dimmer, but that's okay.
But this is Mr. Cabbage's really cool little frame here.
What's up next?
What is up next is, this is not, I don't know that this is actually a Shapeoko. I don't know when a machine becomes a different machine. And this is all I have is this cartoon that he's rendered here. It looks like it's rotoscope, but it isn't. It's just a filter. But it looks like a lot of Shapeoko parts here. But a different router and this, these are, what do they call these kind of, this old Tony taught me what kind of tooling this is. Taper tooling.
Okay.
And he's got a, can we full screen that? Automatic tool change. It drops the tool off and that little, looks 3D printed, but it probably isn't. And then it goes and grabs the next tool.
Oh, interesting.
So when you're CNCing something, usually you might go over it with one giant, mean, angry end mill to take out all sorts of material, and then you might switch to a smaller end mill or maybe a ball end mill to make
finish it up.
Features and stuff. Yeah, and then come back with a third end mill to actually carve the piece out of the material.
Okay.
Oh, Jenkins Robotics. I don't remember seeing that either. Yeah, Jonathan Jenkins.
Jonathan Jenkins.
Gentleman who uploaded this 18 days ago.
So what do you do? Get a sequence of tools and just lay it out, and it goes to the first one, does its paths, and then goes to the next one, or?
Yeah, you would have some kind, either in your control software, you'd have some kind of a macro that picks up
Okay.
that picks it up, or your, the equivalent of your controller, your controller board would know which moves to make to go pick up the next tool.
Yeah.
And you get to measure all this stuff ahead of time, so you would know how high each tool, like if one was shorter than another, you could program all that in somehow, depending on your software.
Yeah.
But G-Code has a tool change command.
Okay.
So you can tell it, I want tool 1, I want tool 2, I want tool 3, and you program that. You do all that in your CAM software, like the equivalent of your slicer.
Interesting.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know if the Duet 3 in this title is the control board that he's using, or if it's the Gerbil board that's in. I'm unprepared here, Toby. I'm doing my best.
You're doing a good job.
But I'm a little jealous. I would love to have a little tool changer like this. And you guys should check out our friend Alex has a couple of videos published up on the Carbide 3D YouTube channel, where he does a step-by-step tutorial on how to use Carbide Create. That's the software that ships with the Shapeoko and the Nomad. And he basically takes you through your first CNC project from start to finish.
Alex's learning content is fantastic. I bet I could go over to his house and CNC something just following along with what he's created.
Julius says someone's in exile in New Zealand, and I don't remember mentioning anyone.
We were talking about, I think that's in response to the renaming to .com.
But Alex's videos are fantastic. If you're new to CNCing
or curious about it, want to know how much work it would take. Yeah.
I think this first video is all cam, and then the second part, I hope there's a link to it right here. Oh, good. There's a link to part 2. We'll skip to the end, Alex. I hope you don't mind.
We'll make sure there's links in the video description.
Of course we will. It'll even say something down in the bottom of the video when we publish this for real. We can see previews here. Shadow is a good cat. She's very friendly. She sits in my lap, which is nice.
All of Alex's pets like Pat better than they like me.
It's true. I'm very friendly. Yeah, see there, he did a manual tool change to go to that V bit. Yeah, 3 tools. just like we were talking about. What do you think, Tubby? Have we done a good job on that episode there?
I think we have. What do we do? We hit well, it's been 13 minutes since you asked how long it took last time.
Dude, that was a quick episode.
We need to get our TF2 stopwatch and say lap and hit a button. Lap.
Gaming is up next, Tubby. That'll be a quick one too.
That will be. Maybe. I've
Ooh, why do I have this video at a times code?
I'm practicing.
I'm excited about that Burger Time cabinet. Oh, he's got a Fix It Felix cabinet too.
Burger Time guy. Oh,
Burger Time guy, yeah.
look at you opening all these tabs.
A claw. I have no good video to play with the first thing. Project Nested. Oh, or this is the video.
That's the video. Yeah, that's the one that's at the time code. I was about to say that. Full speed NES emulator for the
Super Nintendo. All right, you ready, Tubby? Maybe I'll zoom that in too.
Yes. Perhaps.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Buttered What Show. Today is recording this live in front of a YouTube audience on August 3rd, 2021. And I'm not BrianCMoses.com. That's my co-host. I'm Pat Regan, and we've got some video game stuff we're talking about.
What do we got first? Talking about. Showing off.
I thought this was ingenious. I thought this was amazing. But it's called Project Nested. I can't even believe this is possible. It's an emulator for the original Nintendo Entertainment System that runs on actual Super NES hardware.
Interesting.
And it runs almost at full speed. I hear it's a little glitchy at times. It has some slowdowns and some stutters. But I'm going to play some video here of it running. I mean, I'm assuming that this gentleman, whose channel am I on here, Brian? Should I have checked that first? Shareopolis. I'm assuming he's really got that Super Famicom plugged to that TV there, and he's playing an NES game.
It's fair to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I think so. And the internet says it works, so and I trust them. I trust the internet. But this is amazing to me because usually it's several generations before you can emulate. Yeah, every maybe 10 years before you can emulate an older machine on a current machine. But this is just one generation apart, like 4, 5, 6 years maybe at most.
Yeah, and what's the use case on this? What?
Just none.
You're okay. Yeah,
Somebody said, "I bet we can do this."
And then they did. Yeah, I was wondering. You know, you're the, I don't want to say the collector, but you've got a collection, and you're at your original NES dies, and you can't find a replacement. Maybe.
But you wouldn't want to play it slightly weird.
Yeah.
Super NES.
Yep.
But even so, this would have been amazing.
Yep. Well, and I remember how many years it was before we saw the first, Nintendo emulator on like a PC or anything.
Oh yeah, that was it well into the 90s.
Yep. Yeah.
second
That's
half
real
of the 90s
interesting.
somewhere. And all the consoles I know of that have offered compatibility with the previous generation. Like the PlayStation 2 had almost every chip from a PlayStation 1 on the inside, and the PlayStation 3 had almost every chip from a PlayStation 2 on the inside. And I don't know about the PS4. But
So you were basically buying a PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 at the same time. It
yeah,
wasn't doing emulation. You just had the hardware of both platforms.
yep. And the Nintendo Wii is basically a GameCube. It's just I don't want to say it's just an overclocked GameCube, but it has some extra RAM and stuff. But
Okay.
it's a compatible GPU, it's a compatible CPU, and that was why you could just. And they even put the Wii had a special front loader that could take those little tiny GameCube discs. They were the mini DVDs. And it
Okay.
could somehow center them in the slot loader. I have no idea how that worked.
Interesting. I'm not sure I've ever even seen or played a GameCube.
I don't know that I've ever played one a real one. And that's the only 3D Super Mario game I haven't played is Super Mario Sunshine.
Interesting.
And that kind of bums me out a little bit.
Well, you come on over. We've got it on the Switch.
Let's do it. Is it any good? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, tell
I
us
need to
tell us
play.
if we're missing out.
All right, here's another light, fluffy one, Tubby. I don't have the name again. I'm gonna find this gentleman's name because this is awesome. I've been finding things on Imager, and the web interface here does not show me any username, so I'm a little bummed out here. But this gentleman has a MAME cabinet. This definitely looks custom because I don't think Burger Time was usually this wide. But he's made it to look like Burger Time, and he's done a good job. He's got all these little decals and stuff for the Burger Time characters. But my favorite part, just like a real Burger Time cabinet, is I think it's delightful. The side of the cabinet is puffy. You know, it's got those humps to it, just like the Burger Time guy's chef hat.
Okay. Oh, I gotcha. I see. I don't know that I've ever seen a Burger Time cabinet or played. If I haven't seen one, I haven't played it. Or if I've seen one, it just went in one ear and out the other.
Well, and you don't always get to see this because they packed arcade cabinets in real arcades right next to each other.
Right next to each other, yeah.
You don't notice the sides, but this is if my brain is telling me that this is the way real Burger Time cabinets look. But if not, this is fantastic. This is even more fantastic.
Yeah, it's adapted to be even better if it's not authentic. But I'm gonna bet it's authentic. I mean,
it's authentic. I'm just checking.
Yeah, the guy. I mean, clearly that was a lot of work to recreate, and I would expect that somebody who's put that much effort into recreating it has done so with authenticity at the top of his or her priority list.
It's a beautiful arcade cabinet.
It really is.
I have this in my home. Oh, and he's got the fantastic chairs. Oh, I've never seen the stools with the backs on them. I know these. I definitely recognize these stools, but the backs that's an upgrade. Well, what do you think, Tubby? Should we move on to the thing I'm excited about here?
I think we should. We've talked about this a lot.
We have. Oh, I should have brought over a Steam controller or something to hold up. Doesn't matter. Valve announced the Steam Deck game console just a few, and I'm not buying one, but I'm super excited. I think it's awfully cool. What do you think, Tubby?
I think it's really cool, and I don't necessarily believe you when you say you're not going to buy one. If Vegas was laying odds, I would have to. I think I'd be inclined to bet that you would put I would put money on you buying one. I understand.
I'm more than a little tempted.
Yeah,
My trouble is I don't do much mobile gaming.
Yep.
And on the, I might have to spend a few hours sitting waiting somewhere this year, and I'll take my Switch with me, and
Yeah.
that'll be fine. That'll get me through a couple of boring hours, but this is fantastic. I checked the. It's basically an x86 laptop in something a little bigger than a Nintendo Switch. It has a 7-inch
Yep.
screen. It's a 4-core Ryzen processor with an whatever the Ryzen built-in GPU is, and 16 gigabyte of DDR5 RAM.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
it's a little faster.
Yep.
That should make. Yeah, I looked up some benchmarks of comparable. Like I looked up. I found a 2-in-1 tablet on YouTube that somebody ran. Games like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption and things on, just to see how they did. And this is newer. This has faster RAM. This should be faster than whatever I looked at. But they all managed. In RDR2 and GTA 5, they were getting better than 30 frames per second at 1080p.
That's good
It
enough.
should be a nice little console, I think.
Yep.
It's only 720p, so you get a little bit of a boost in your graphics, and that 720p is plenty on a tiny little.
On a tiny screen. Yep.
Worried about that.
I mean, it's not. It's too late. In the early pandemic, we bought a Switch and we worked really hard. When they weren't on the shelves, even at the stores that were still open. And had this been available back then, I probably would have bought one of these instead.
Well,
Potentially.
The trouble is, it's not available now.
Yeah, well, it's not available now. We're playing it's not exactly an
First
apples.
batches are shipping early next year.
Yeah.
And there was some sort of a leak or a hack or something of Valve's pre-order system, and they said over 200,000 have been pre-ordered so far.
Okay.
And you have to put down $100 or something.
Yep.
To open your. You can't just say I'm pre-ordering.
Kyle, I was worried you were going to say that.
Card in, and you have to say yes, I'm
Yep.
getting something to this.
I was worried you were going to say all 200,000 of those were sold to scalpers.
Well,
What? With the hack.
Valve is only allowing so many orders per
Okay.
person, and it's first come, first serve. I don't know how. I hope it works out well.
Yeah, me too.
But this is neat. I don't know. I hope it stays up here long enough. There's 2 buttons in the back to hit with your pinky and your ring finger, and it has 2 touchpads like the Steam controller. And a lot of people, the Steam controller is complicated to set up and it's hard to use. But I could play first-person shooters on it at like about 80% as well as I can at my
Interesting.
desk with the mouse and keyboard. Like, you would destroy me in Team Fortress 2 if I used the Steam controller, Brian. But when I played Borderlands 2, I replayed it with the Steam controller when I got it. And about 10 or 20 levels in, our friend Six joined my game, and I said, "Oh no!" Now
He's going to be
get
so
all the kills
disappointed.
because I'm just going to be used. It's a co-op game, so it's
Yeah.
not a big deal. But I thought for sure, well, I'm done killing things. He's going to get all the kills, and I surely was not getting half of the kills, right? But I
Yeah.
was. I
Pulling
was
your
definitely
weight.
participating.
Yeah.
Helping. And
You were-
being useful.
You were a contributor.
But the biggest problem with the Steam controller was that you had to customize it. You couldn't just turn it on and start playing a game. You had to set up the game to play the way you wanted to, and
That's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work. It has a payoff though, but it only had one thumbstick, so you couldn't just use it with a game that's set up for the Xbox or the PlayStation.
Gotcha.
They've solved that problem. There's 2 sticks on here. There's a
Yep.
real D-pad. There's real buttons. So you could just use this like it's an Xbox or a PlayStation,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Well, and we just talked about earlier in our live stream. We talked about that I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, and on vacation we packed up the Switch, my laptop, 2 tablets. I mean, other devices, just like I always do every time that I travel. I like the idea of this, that this would potentially on a trip where I wasn't planning on spending much time on a laptop, this would do fine, in conjunction with the tablet and to thin out what I was carrying on to the airplane.
And
I like
this
the
is
i-
literally a a laptop.
Yeah.
It comes with SteamOS, which is based on Arch Linux. You can install Windows on here. You could run other Linux apps on here that are outside of Steam. You could plug a keyboard into it. You could plug it into a monitor, and everything will just work. This would be really neat if I traveled a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I've been thinking of all kinds of weird things I could do on it, like run VMs on a second machine or use it as a video rendering server if I'm editing video on the go.
Yep. Yeah, back when I still worked in the office, I'd play mobile games. I'd take a break, like a 15-minute break and go play a mobile game somewhere. It would have been cool to go down and get a Red Dead Redemption 2 achievement
Yeah,
instead.
play a mission or two.
Yeah.
Lunch break, coffee break.
More
But
and
it's
Larry.
priced well. I'm absolutely certain that if you hunt for the very best deal, you can find cheaper laptops. But I just
Yep.
went to Amazon, and I typed in Ryzen 3 because those are the 4 cores. Ryzen 3, 16 gig of RAM, just like the specs on here. And the Steam Deck is $400 for the 64 gig model, and then I forget we can look it up, but it's like $429 and $529 for the 256 and 512 gigabyte of storage models. And that's about what laptops of this grade cost. So it's not.
It's not a huge. There's not a huge
not
premium.
overpriced.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not making a ton of money on this. Yeah, I could totally see one of these being in my laptop bag
Yep.
at some point. But we talked a lot about the Steam Deck.
We did. We knew we
And I
would.
could talk about it for another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
On totally different things, and I don't want to do that. So I say we cut the episode right here, and we call it.
That's it. I'm betting $50 you buy a Steam Deck. I don't find me a book
wait a
in
minute,
Vegas.
Do I make the $50 if I buy it?
Well, you'd have to.
Because
I don't.
make it cheaper.
That'll make it cheaper.
Cheaper,
Well,
right?
we'll have to find someone to be the book for that bet. They're gonna have to lay odds, and they'll be the ones paying it out.
I was off by a little bit because now I realized I could scroll here. It's
$399.
$400 for the base model, $530 for the 256 gig, and $650 for the 512 gigabyte of storage.
And
it's
those-
only $5 to reserve one.
Okay,
But you have to
well,
put a
that's
credit card in. You have to do. You can't just say, "Yeah, put my email address in. I'm reserving one." You have to put a credit
have to
card
give-
number in, and you have to do a little work.
I wonder if they're, when the time comes to fulfill your order, if they're giving you a chance to say, "Hey, do you want to back out now?" Or if they're just going to go, "We know it's been 8 months, but here's a $650 charge that you totally forgot about since placing your pre-order."
That's a good question. I'm going to say we did a good job there, Tubby. What do you
I think we did. We talked about it. We thought it would be light and fluffy, and then it wasn't because the Steam Deck is exciting.
I'm going to pull up the PyKVM free hat on cloudfree.com because Kenny is a good dude.
Yes.
Kenny will set you up an affiliate account, Brian.
Seriously.
Yeah. I haven't done it because I don't think I'm going to sell a lot of plugs, and Kenny can use the extra dollars.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this one? Turn your Android phone into a backup server. That was.
Are we reworking the order here?
I'm just opening things.
Okay.
Was that the blog? Or, well, I guess I could open the price. But the pricing is right there in the blog. I can just leave the blog open. Are these the same numbers? 5, 15? Yeah.
That makes it easy.
It does, doesn't it? These over here. Do we have we got the hat? Geez, why is that at the bottom of the page here? That's just 3 things we have in here, right, Tubby?
Yep, that's the numbers. 1, 2, and 3.
I think that's plenty. Why is the garage workshop still open?
Browsers are hard.
Oh God, I lost our notes. I closed the tab with the.
Don't close our notes. This is our last episode. All you got to do is follow along in the tabs.
Oh, good.
We talk about something when we get done with it. We close that tab and we're not talking about it no more.
It's August 3rd again.
It is still August 3rd for another 2 hours.
Are you ready, Tubby?
I'm ready.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Butterwhat Show. I'm your assistant to the regional co-host, Pat Regan, and this is my co-host, Brian Moses. And we're coming at you on recording this on August 3rd, 2021, in front of a live YouTube audience. We do this the first Tuesday of every single month. And we've got some Raspberry Pi stuff to talk about and some server stuff and network stuff and VPNs. It's going to be fun. And the first thing we've got here is Brian has put together his proper Pi KVM version 3 setup. And you want to show us that? Can you send me a picture of that too? Some photos so
I can.
Put sexy photos in the video.
I shared a bunch of them. I tweeted them. I'll send them to you again. I've had this since our last episode. In our last episode, it was in pieces right over here somewhere. And this week, because I have a project bearing down on me that this is gonna come in very handy for. This week I took some time and finally got it put together and updated to the latest version of PiKVM, and it is ready to go for that project.
So what is a PiKVM?
It is, well, the product that we're talking about is an IP KVM, keyboard video monitor device that you can access over the network. You plug it into.
It's virtual keyboard and monitor hardware.
Yeah. You plug a USB cable into a computer. You boot up the. You
power it on.
You power it on. You know it requires the hat and a Raspberry Pi 4. But you put it together. You turn it on. You plug it into another computer via USB, and it's HDMI. And then you go walk to another computer in the same network and pull up the PiKVM's web interface, and you're working with that computer as if you were right at its keyboard and mouse. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
I had it hooked.
The advantage of this, a lot of people just think, well, why can't I just remote desktop in or something? This lets you get into the BIOS. It has virtual CD-ROM and flash drive so that you can install a brand new operating system from scratch, and the hat has ways you can wire it onto the ATX motherboard and turn the computer on and off and things.
Yeah, you can wire it into the power and reset switches, and you could do a long press of the power button or blip the reset switch.
Now, Tubby, I don't have the fancy hat. I have this case full of stuff.
Yeah.
For my PiKVM.
This is
just a regular. I'm going to open this.
This is part of what what makes the PiKVM project awesome. They've had several iterations of hardware, and you can completely do it yourself. You can buy, a Raspberry Pi, a USB, HDMI capture card, and a couple other trinkets, and you can build one of these and have it working in a matter of minutes.
And that used to be the only way to do it.
Yeah, they're just now selling their own hat where they're putting all that onto actual hardware.
Like the $30 Raspberry Pi and a little $12, $15 dongle and some cables and some splitters and things, some nonsense. But the hat is a little pricey, but I think it's still nice anyway. Cloudfree.shop has it listed at about $150, and then a Pi is another $30 to $50 depending on.
Yep, and the thing that really makes it awesome is the web interface. The hardware is awesome, but the actual web interface that you work with is really fantastic. I mean, I've used other comparable IPKVMs. I've used IPMI interfaces that are built into server grade motherboards, and those interfaces are always they're off. I mean, I don't want to say awful, but they're not great to work with. You know, you're not excited.
Everybody who uses them is happy that they just work.
Yeah.
They're there. They work at all.
Yeah.
That they don't have to drive into the office or. And this is great because if you spend the $200 today, I mean, I'm not trying to sell it to you right now, but if you spend the money today and plug it into your server, in 5 years when you throw away the motherboard that's in that server, you get to plug this hat into the next one.
Yeah.
And into the next
Or
one.
or when you're building that server, especially for people like us who are building them at home, you don't have to buy the server grade, motherboard that's marked up by several $100s for no other reason other than features like what's on the PiKVM. You get to buy a less expensive motherboard. You save the money on the hardware, but you keep the PiKVM every time you upgrade that server. I would imagine
from that server to put on
you
something
could-
else if you need to.
you could borrow it. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's not locked into that one motherboard, and that's fantastic.
Yeah. If you've got a home theater PC and you just need to use it with that real quick, you could take it down there. You could move it around. If you wanted to, you could put Tailscale on it. You could mail it to your
There's
to your grandmother.
documentation now
Yep.
on the PiKVM website how to install and configure Tailscale.
Is it really good?
Yeah, it's in the Arch Package Manager. It's really easy.
I want to say that the first thing that I had Tailscale working on was my first PiKVM that I built, the V2 hardware.
That means I can plug my PiKVM into my parents' computer 3 states away and leave it there, and from here I can, reinstall their operating system. I don't know that I need to do that, but
Yeah.
it's an option.
Help
I
your
don't want
dad.
to talk too much about that. We talk about the PiKVM every
Yeah.
month.
Well,
And
it's
they've done a
awesome.
good job. But I found this. I saw this on Hacker News a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago. It says June 16th, so I don't know. But this is from Hannah Lee, from Hannah Lee's blog, I'm guessing. And Hannah has built a little backup solution out of an old Android phone with a busted screen, a little USB hub, and a little, a USB hard drive.
Interesting.
And there are step-by-step instructions on how to set it up, how to do exactly what they did. How to install the backup software they're using. And I just think this is neat because I'm doing something similar with a Raspberry Pi and a hard drive that are not here in my house. They're sitting behind Brian over there.
If
I
you
have
could see where I'm
offline
pointing.
storage on Brian's gigabit internet service over there. So all my recording, it is being uploaded to Brian's house backup
It's
promptly
consuming our bandwidth and degrading our live stream's
all
performance.
over the place. There are so many places my bandwidth is going while we're doing this.
I really like this idea because people are buying and breaking phones all the time, and
All the time.
they're not always necessarily getting put to good use, or even you can't trade them in, or if you do trade them in, you don't get a very good offer from your carrier or whoever buys them. People
All they're
people
basically
don't-
doing here is installing Debian in a
yeah
in a sub environment on the phone. So the phone's still there doing its phone thing, but there's a little Debian system booted up in the. It's not I shouldn't say it's not. It's probably not a VM or anything like that. It's running along. It's using the same kernel. As
Yeah. Can you run Tailscale on it?
I run Tailscale on my phone, so absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
You're saying that somebody else could do offsite backups with their old broken cell phone, like
Yeah,
you're
and-
kind of like you're doing today?
I imagine they could do it exactly like I'm doing it because they're just running Debian.
Yeah.
I don't know that the Pi might be a different style of ARM chip, a different instruction set. I don't know for sure, but and you don't have to use the backup software they're using. Anything that runs on Linux that has ARM binaries or source code, you can for sure run it. But I think it's neat because it's got a little battery built into it.
Yep.
Because it's a phone. This is just fantastic.
It's a good idea. I like it a lot. And people need to do backups. I mean, I
RAID
can't.
is not a backup.
That is a fact, and not enough people have redundancy in their hardware, and the people that have redundancy in their hardware, they don't have enough backups, or they assume that they have backups because they can survive a hardware failure. Everybody needs way more backups than they have.
It's true. But speaking of offsite backups, Tailscale is an integral part of my offsite backup. And last month this came out right after we did our last episode. I think.
Yep.
Tailscale announced their new pricing structure. And Tailscale is a VPN. It's a mesh VPN. Not like those anonymous VPN services like privateinternetaccess.com or NordVPN.
NordVPN.
This connects your machines together directly from one to the other. The Tailscale service basically just points your machines at each other so they can connect directly to each other securely. It runs WireGuard underneath, and WireGuard is a really cool modern VPN client and server. And their old pricing, it was not for me. I think it would have been like $120 or $150 a year. And by the time you tell me that, I'm gonna say, well, I may as well just set up my own WireGuard server and just, okay, sure, it won't be enmeshed anymore, but for $450 over 3 years, that's worth my time to do it myself, right?
Yeah.
But now they've got new plans, $5 a month, and I think it's cheaper if you pay for the whole year. I don't remember what I paid, but I ended up paying for whatever the cheaper pricing was here.
Yep. Yeah. On their old pricing structure, because of how easy it was. I mean, I talk about this in the blogs that I wrote about Tailscale. I've tried to do my own VPNs a couple times, and it was just too much work, too many concepts that I didn't quite yet understand or want to learn. At their old pricing structure, I was like, well, that's kind of expensive, but when you factor in all the things that I don't know that I need to learn to set up my own, it would probably be worth it. And their new pricing, for me, it just was a no-brainer. Yep. Just
for most people, you don't even have to pay. It's free.
Yep.
It's free for up to 20 devices, and you can do one extra subnet router. Subnet router means, like, I can install Tailscale on the router here at my house and connect to all the devices in my home over Tailscale without running Tailscale on every device.
Yep.
And really, the free plan is enough for almost everybody. I didn't even really need the paid plan, but I want to support the folks at Tailscale, so I'm happy to pay something. I'm excited about that. But my favorite part, and I'm going to scroll down here to show it to you, the limits on all the plans, and this has been true ever since Tailscale started, all the limits are soft limits. Just because it says you can have only 20 devices, if you put 40 devices in there, they're not going to turn you off they're not going to shut down your free plan. If you're using 2 subnet routes instead of 1, they're not going to force you to stop using them or force you to pay. They're very friendly about it. Is kind of the idea here. And I'm not going to feel bad. If I have to use 2 subnet routes and 20 devices on my paid plan that's only supposed to have 1 subnet route and 100 devices, that's fine. I don't mind. I feel like that's a fair trade. Wouldn't you think if I'm not using 80 of the devices they think I should be using, but I'm doubling up on...
yeah, there's got to be some give and take there. Yeah. I can appreciate that.
But it's fantastic. Tailscale, it's so easy to use.
Super
easy.
Easy.
Install it, you log in, and every device you install it on and log in on can automatically talk to every other device.
Yep.
They have a list of IP addresses. They're static IP addresses. There's some magic DNS that they do. It's all really slick, and it's surprisingly easy to set up.
Shockingly easy. If I can do it, then well, just about anybody should be able to do it.
Yep.
Tailscale's cool. Check it out. Yeah, I think it is. I think that's an episode, and that's the last episode.
Yeah. I think we've done a good job here, Tom.
I think we did. My camera didn't overheat, so
No,
my
me
s-
too.
my small rig and camera
I can feel the
tweaks.
warmth.
Yeah. Yeah, the small rig's a little warm, but not too much.
I can't hold up my macro pad here because it's integral to. It's tied in. It's plugged in and everything.
You should have planned for that.
What do you guys think? Did we do a good job? I did record the desktop here, so that's exciting.
That is a good job.
I'm going to stop recording that because we won't need that anymore.
We did that in about an hour. I think we did a good job.
This is the fastest we've ever done 4 episodes. How did we do, Chris?
She says you've been relegated to the friend zone.
That's where I live. That's talking about
I
your
know.
friend.
I know who you're talking about. I won't have any of you talking badly about whoever it is that you're talking
Die in
about.
an hour.
It didn't die in an hour?
No.
I really
18650 in. This could
I
be
really like the idea of
50 or 3 AAAs. I
okay.
always just run it on 3 AAAs.
I like the idea of CNCing a frame and then putting the museum style lighting underneath it to shine
Yeah.
up. I don't know. I don't know where I don't know what you would do to find it, but
It says there's currently 6 out there.
that's awesome. It's dropped off to no, it's still at 6. Well, 3 of us, 4 of us. Me, you, Chris, and maybe Yulia if she's still awake.
We're going to need to start asking people to submit things they'd like us to talk about.
Yeah, we're falling into some ruts. Well, it's not a rut. Every month Tailscale or PyKVM comes up with something that we feel like we need to talk about, and then we repeat.
I didn't even talk about any of my home automation stuff, and I'm ready to start automating.
Are you?
I am. I've got
Yeah, what
Jinky. I've
We
got
didn't-
so much data going in now, and I've got.
I want my
And look, I got all these things lighting up. And
I have so much unused home automation hardware that I need to do. Well, and I hope next month we have something to talk about.
You can't see it, but my chair has a sensor built in.
It does. It's working.
It's not working though, because I just have it plugged into a breadboard and it got flung off of one of the cables. Got
What'd you do?
not long enough. So, but
Sat down with too much authority.
well, it's a rocking chair.
Okay.
Right? When you don't pull the ripcord to recline, it's a rocking chair.
At least he didn't short anything.
I did that. Both cables are unplugged from the thing. But yeah, that's it. If nobody has any questions, should we call it a night, Tubby?
I think we should. Thank everybody for showing up.
Yeah, it was fantastic talking with all you fine folks out there.
Did you see Manimal?
I can't see him because
Oh,
I can
Click.
see him in the YouTube though. He's back there. He's been looking.
he's been looking the whole time.